Just recently, we were working on a large hotel in Cape Coral, Florida. The county assessor came out and gave the property a huge increase. So we just went through the process, appealed the property, and the big thing is getting into the weeds. And on that property, we were able to decrease the valuation by 10 million, which was a fantastic result for the owner.
Welcome to Metcalf Money Moment, the podcast. Unlock financial clarity and confidence with expert insights to achieve your goals. Hosted by Jeb Graham, Ethan Hutchison, and Eric Wymore. Each episode offers decades of combined expertise in wealth management, retirement planning, and more. Join us for practical strategies to inspire your financial journey. Now your hosts.
Welcome to Metcalf Money Moment podcast. My name is Jeb Graham, here with Ethan Hutchison and Eric Wymore, along with our special guest today, Eric Owens, who is with Swartz and Associates. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good. Doing good. Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you for jumping on today. And I think
You bet.
maybe we can just start with you telling us a little bit about Swartz and Associates, who you guys are and what you guys do.
Sure. So Swartz and Associates, we're a boutique firm headquartered here in Overland Park. We specialize in property tax consulting. And that property tax consulting is primarily for commercial properties and high-end residential. Commercial, that can be anywhere from large office buildings, big box retail, industrial, multifamily, golf courses, you name it. If it's being assessed by the county, we can take a look at it. And I would say a lot of our clients, as far as our footprint, majority of our clients are in the Midwest area. A lot of them here in the Kansas City metro, but their portfolios take us across the country, and we do appeals across the country. So
Awesome. So I know you probably aren't or not to name names or anything, but maybe is there an example, like a recent example of one of your clients, kind of what the situation was, how you guys jump in and kind of a result, maybe? Is that possible to go through a scenario like that?
Sure. So, just recently we were working on a large hotel in Cape Coral, Florida. The county assessor came out and gave the property a huge increase, right? Over $15 million increase. So we obviously appealed because in the state of Florida, things are assessed every year. So we just went through the process, appealed the property, and the big thing is getting into the weeds as far as, what the assessor is looking at. So we'll look at the financials for that said property, which was a hotel. We'll put together our own projections and our own presentation on what the valuation should be, and submit that to the county assessor. And then we'll walk through it with the county assessor and show them why the value needs to be lowered. And typically we need to have evidence. We just can't come in there and say, hey, we don't like the end result of this. This is going to increase our property taxes. You have to focus on valuation and, what's your reasoning as to why the value needs to be lower. And on that property, we were able to decrease the valuation by 10 million, which was a fantastic result for the owner.
Yep. So that means real money to the owners of that property, obviously.
It is. It can be hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the property that you're talking about. We had a big box retail property in Connecticut where multiple years stacked up, because once you get past the local level, you start getting into district court and things start slowing down. So we started that process on a big box retail property in Connecticut in 2021, and we just resolved it this year. And that ended up saving our client over $600,000 in real estate taxes, which is, I mean, it's huge.
That's unreal. I mean, that's one of those things where, if you were to apply that, and we were talking about this at Metcalf Partners Wealth Management, we have clients that own businesses. Most of our clients that own businesses might own some real estate, but typically it could be like a, $4 million building or a $5 million
Mhm.
building or less. I'm assuming it's applicable to there, but then also,
Yes.
we have a lot of clients. I remember a couple of years ago when, Jackson County just hiked up everybody's property taxes. I think it was based on commercial as well as, obviously residential.
Right.
And I know for a lot of our clients and just in general, property taxes have gone up. If you're talking like just say a kind of a normal American person that owns a home, how often are they successful in fighting their property taxes, and what do they need to do in order to do that?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, as far as the regular homeowner, I mean, what's great nowadays is our access to information, right? You can go online, you can see what things should be valued at. You're getting your quote unquote zestimate from Zillow, so you kind of have an idea, right? That zestimate isn't necessarily what your house is worth, but it can be close. Uh, so I would say the biggest thing for if you own, just your single family residential home is just you need to be paying attention to that valuation when it comes out. And in Kansas, it's in the springtime, typically early spring in Johnson County. You're looking at late February, early March. If you're in Jackson County on the Missouri side, it's going to be coming out usually in late spring. And they are separate as far as Kansas and Missouri. So in Kansas, it's every year you get reassessed, but in Missouri, it's every odd year. So last year in 25, there was a reassessment, and the next reassessment will be in 2027.
Interesting. Yeah, and I know with Jackson County specifically last year, there was quite a bit of drama around the elevated property taxes. I mean, we had some clients that saw 10 times growth, 50 times growth
Right.
as far as what they're being assessed at. And a very public case that we've seen, it's been all over LinkedIn and the news, is Jay Rieger downtown and the
Sure.
Crossroads area. A lot of those businesses are kind of getting phased out because the property tax increase that occurred. So talk a little bit about, if you could, those smaller businesses that might rent a particular unit there that are also assessed property taxes. Do you guys come in and help them out, or are you more so helping the landlords out that own the larger establishment that's downtown?
So it depends on your situation. So yes, we help the owners of the property. But if you're in a building and it's a triple net lease, you're the tenant. In a triple net lease, you're going to be responsible for the real estate taxes. And in your lease, it should say that you have the right to appeal, because the landlord, I mean, while the landlord could be concerned with the taxes, they're not responsible for them, right? That single tenant in that building is responsible for them, and they're going to be concerned about the valuation going up because the end result are the real estate taxes are going to be increasing, right? What we saw on the Jackson County side, especially on the commercial side, less I would say on the residential side, is we saw huge increases in 25. And then going in and talking to the assessor, you're like, "Well, how did you guys, come up with these values?" And they really didn't have anything laid out as far as how they got to those values. They were just big percentage increases, which was kind of concerning. But what we did see towards the end of the year is that the county executive left or was voted out. Um, uh, the new county executive came in and then said, "Hey, up to if you own a property up to 5 million in value, it's only going to be a 15% increase from 2023. And that was a huge relief for a lot of business owners.
Yeah, especially when you're staring down, a six-figure increase or a seven-figure increase with some of the cases, depending on the scale and the size of the buildings. So in those cases, are you coming in alongside them and kind of hand-holding the entire process, going to court, filing everything, taking care of the appeal? Are you guys kind of a white glove service, or do you have other avenues where you bring in outside people to help out?
Yeah, so we work on a contingency basis. So if we're engaged by a client, we only get paid if we achieve an actual reduction in real estate taxes, and then we get a percentage of those savings. So what we'll do is start at the informal level, file the appeal, talk to the county assessor, and see if we can get a reduction in on your valuation. And just depending on whatever jurisdiction you're in, everything's a little bit different as far as the process. In Missouri, you start informally, but then you go to the Board of Equalization, and then you can go before the board, and then it goes on to the state level. In Kansas, you start informally, and then it goes to the Board of Tax Appeal after that if you can't get something worked out. And in most cases and in most appeals, what we find, no matter at what level you go to, especially if you start getting into going to district court, you're most likely going to settle before you go to court. Majority of the time, you're going to get something figured out with the county.
So this isn't a week-long deal. This can take
It can take
months.
a
No,
while, huh?
it can grind out for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So then real quick, if so say you appeal property tax, they get their property tax lowered. Say 3 years later, they sell the building for a significantly larger sum than what they're now paying the assessed property tax on. Do they have to pay any back taxes or anything like that? Or is that simply the new owner is now on the hook to pay the taxes based on the most recent transaction?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, especially when you're dealing with investment property, is how each state works as far as disclosure of sale prices, right? So in Kansas and in Johnson County, when you're closing on a property, you fill out a form that says this is what is being purchased for, and this is given to the county assessor, right? So you'll see in Johnson County, if you buy a property that next year, most likely Johnson County is going to increase that valuation up to or close to that value. And Jackson County on the Missouri side has started to do the same thing, has a form that you have to fill out where that's given to the county assessor. And now they're paying attention to those values, and they're doing the same thing and bringing those values up. So where that can get sideways, if let's say an investor of a multifamily property doesn't account for that, right? Let's say right now they're looking at this property, they're going to buy this property, and it has a low county valuation, and they don't account for that increase in taxes that will happen that following year in the reassessment. They can get underwater pretty fast, and that multifamily property can become unprofitable because their taxes have increased substantially due to their purchase price. And we've seen that in many cases where people get bad advice, whether it's from a broker or whomever, and they get underwater in that property.
Yep. Wow. Well, tell us what else. Is there anything else our listeners need to know if they're going to go out and appeal property, and also like how if there's a business owner that wants to do that? Obviously, for you guys, you're going to work with business owners, not necessarily individuals. So we appreciate you giving the information to individuals, even though that's not really your core business. But if somebody is going to go and we have a business owner that wants to do a property tax, basically contest their property taxes, how would they get a hold of you, and kind of what's the very first step in the process?
Sure. So obviously you can just reach out to me to my contact information. But I mean, if you wanted to go and do this on your own, um, the biggest thing that you need to do, whether you're a residential homeowner, a business owner, is not concentrate on your tax increase. Because I see that all the time where people are in there with the county, whether it's a board of equalization meeting or whatever, and they're talking about the taxes increasing. Well, I mean, obviously, nobody cares on that. And that's not what it's about. It's about the valuation, and the taxes is just a result of that valuation going up. So you need to focus in on the valuation, and like with a home, go out and get some comps that are from your neighborhood, comps that are similar to your property. You know, similar bedrooms, similar baths. Um, and make sure that those comps are within a year of what we call the effective valuation date, and typically it's in Kansas it's January 1st of that reassessment year. So this year it would be January 1st of 2026. So anything in that 2025 year would be great to use for your appeal, and then just focus on those comps, and show the assessor, why your value should be lower. And to me, the biggest thing is just bringing the best information forward and disclosing everything. And if you do that, the county will work with you. But you have to have a case, and it just can't be smoke and mirrors.
Right. Just coming in and saying, I don't want to pay this much, so please lower it. That
Right,
doesn't work, you mean?
my taxes are going to be crazy.
I
You
don't like
gotta
paying
lower it.
taxes. Right.
Right.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate the information. I think it's super useful for specifically clients that own businesses, and maybe they can reach out to you if they need to contest their property taxes. And for individuals that are going to do it, just the fact that documentation is obviously super important. And this
You bet.
is really good information, and we really appreciate you coming on today.
You bet. Well, thanks for the time, guys. I appreciate it as well.
You bet. This is Metcalf Money Market signing off.
Thanks for tuning in to Metcalf Money Moment, the podcast. We hope today's episode provided valuable insights to help you unlock financial clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. For more expert advice and resources, visit metcalfpartners.com. Until next time, make every money moment count.
Jeb Graham, Ethan Hutchison, and Eric Wymore are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through WCG Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. WCG Wealth Advisors and Metcalf Partners Wealth Management are separate entities from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly.